Imagine yourself and a piece of cake. You are alone. The cake is alone. You and the cake are alone together. Then suddenly, it's any cake you want it to be. Then suddenly, two visitors appear. A devil on your right shoulder and an angel on your left. The angel says, "Stop. You know you've already eaten too much today." The devil says, "Go on. You know you want to eat it." The angel says, "Just think of your waistline." The devil says, "Just think of how wonderful it tastes." The angel says, "There's too much fat." The devil says, "It's carrot cake. That sounds healthy." The angel says, "There's too much sugar." The devil says, "Sugar comes from beets, also a vegetable." The angel says, "You will have to exercise a lot to burn those calories." The devil says, "Yeah, sure, we'll exercise someday." Where did we get this notion of good fighting evil? Why is every decision fraught with cosmic dualism? Well, thus spoke Zarathustra upon the Persian plains 26 centuries ago. Zarathustra, or the Greek pronunciation Zoroaster, is the founder of the religion Zoroasterism. And according to religiousfact.com, Zoroasterism is the ancient pre-Islamic religion of Persia, modern-day Iran, founded by Zoroaster in the 6th century BC. Contains both monotheistic and dualistic features. Its concepts of one God, judgment, heaven, and hell likely influenced the major Western religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Zarathustra was a Persian prophet who at the age of 30 believed he had seen a vision of God, whom he called Ahura Mazda, which means God of wisdom, the creator of all that is good and the one who alone is worthy of worship. He was contemporary with Hinduism in his area, with the Rig Veda and the multiplicity of gods. So he was aiming to simplify religion. But there was also an opponent to Ahura Mazda, Ahura Mainyu, the spirit and promoter of evil. Ahura Mazda charged Zarathustra with the task of inviting all human beings to choose between good and evil. The Zoroastrian afterlife is determined by the balance of good and evil deeds, words, and thoughts of the whole life. Though for those whose good deeds outweigh the bad, heaven awaits. Those who did more evil than good go to hell, which has several levels corresponding to the degree of wickedness. And there is an intermediate stage for those whose deeds weigh out equally. Now, you all generally have heard this belief, and it's nowhere in the Bible. In the Old Testament, the Jewish tradition talks of Sheol, death being the grave. And in the New Testament, in most chapters, it talks about salvation by grace, that you don't do good works to earn your way to heaven, that God chooses you or chooses you for damnation from way back when. Except for the book of James, which is my favorite, which actually has to do with deeds. It says, do good deeds. Because we can see deeds, we can't see faith. Do good deeds. And Luther wanted to get rid of the book of James when he was translating the Bible into German because it contradicted that notion of God being in total control and grace being what saves people. So this idea came from Zoroastrianism. Yet we don't know much about Zoroastrianism today. It was dominant in Persia from the 6th century before Jesus and until about 637 when Islam conquered what is now modern-day Iran. It's been heavily persecuted in Iran. Only about 10,000 survive. But over the centuries, many sought religious freedom in India, where they're known as Parsis, the word Persian. Now, it had a big influence on Judaism. For in the year 609 BCE, Jerusalem was conquered by the Babylonians. And this resulted in the Jews being exiled to Babylon until 520 BC, when the Persian king Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon, and then the Jews were allowed to return to Jerusalem, and Judah remained a Jewish province until Alexander the Great conquered the religion in 332 BC. In Jewish traditions before the exile, Yahweh God is Israel's God and is in competition with other tribal gods. 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings basically have the theme of when Israel followed Yahweh, things went well. When they went to other gods like Ishtar or Baal, things went down the tubes. The commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me, indicates that early Jews believed that there were other gods. But coming back from the experience and under the influence of Persian domination, the concept of one God being dominant and being the only true God became part of Judaism, though not without a challenger. The book of Job was written during the Persian occupation and indicates that God and Satan are in competition for the allegiance of Job. And Job remains loyal to God despite losing everything. This is very much like the struggle between Ahura Mazda, the good God, and Ahriman, the evil God. Evil seems to prevail, but good will win in the end. The book of Daniel was written after the Greeks occupied Israel, but it is set during the Babylonian exile and relates how King Cyrus of Persia freed them. And it predicts that Persia will rise and conquer Greece. And it was indeed during that 2nd century before Jesus that the Jews were able to conquer the Greek Empire partially because the Greeks were busy in Turkey fighting the Persians. And this is where we get the story of Hanukkah when the Jews reclaimed the temple. And the book of Daniel also serves as the reference for the book of Revelation, which refers to Rome as the whore of Babylon. And the book predicts the final battle when the Christ defeats the Antichrist. And listening to O Sinner Man those images are from Daniel and the book of Revelation. The moon was a bleeding is straight from that tradition. In the Christmas story in the book of Matthew, Magi visit the baby Jesus. Magi are Zoroastrian priests. This follows the template of Israel's newborn king and liberator being helped by the Persians. And then because of Alexander conquering Persia for a time, Zoroastrianism had influence on Greek philosophy. And in the first century after Jesus, the author Pliny the Elder was decrying the great influence of Zoroastrian philosophy and science had on the Greeks, saying that it gave them not only a lust for sciences, but deluded them. He further states that many Hellenic Greek philosophers, such as Pythagoras and Plato, traveled abroad to study and returned to teach it. And Zoroastrianism, though it was conquered by Islam, also had a great influence on Islam. In the religion of Islam, Al-Mahdi, or the Mahdi, is a foretold redeemer who will come to earth before Judgment Day. Now, Shia Islam, which is located in Persia, has a more developed doctrine about Mahdi. Many Shia believe that Mahdi was born in 869 and was taken by Allah when he was 5 years old, and he will return in the end times as the prophesied Redeemer. Shia Islam, because it's centered in Persia, more naturally accepted the story of a Redeemer that will come at the end to save everyone. Now, Sunni Muslims are like Jews in that they believe that the final Redeemer has not come, where Shias are like Christians in that they believe that the Redeemer has come, gone away, and will come again. And then note the similarity between the words Mazda, the Arabic Mahdi, and the Jewish Messiah. It is possible that Ahura Mazda is behind both concepts of Mahdi and Messiah. And this is supported especially in Isaiah 45, verse 1, which refers to King Cyrus, the liberator from Persia, as a Messiah. So Zoroaster, whether you knew it or not, has profoundly influenced your life. But what did the prophet actually say? The remnant of his writings are contained in the Gathas, hymns that were memorized and are part of the Zoroastrian collection of scriptures. It was reported that he had many, many more writings, but they were stored in the library in Alexandria, which burned and destroyed much of the ancient knowledge that was held in the world at the time. I'll read some translations from the Gathas from Zoroastrian.org. Wise God, in this translation, refers to Ahura Mazda, and righteousness is to follow the good mind. Wise God, I approach you through good mind. Grant me through righteousness the blessings of both existences, the material and the mental. that I may lead my companions to happiness. Having realized the good mind, when shall I see you, O righteousness? When shall I find the path of the most powerful God and listen to the voice of the wise one? With these great thought-provoking words, we shall convince the barbarians to choose the right. These great thought-provoking words. The word for that is mantra. So if you've heard of a mantra, a word that you focus on to bring you insight, also comes from the Persian and Zoroastrian. His third song gets to the heart of the matter. Now I shall speak to those who wish to hear the two principles, which are of importance even to the wise. I shall also, with reverence for the good mind and the good consideration for righteousness, have praises for the Lord, so that you may see brilliant happiness. Hear the best with your ears, and ponder with a bright mind, that each man and woman for his or herself select either of the following two. Awaken to this doctrine of ours before the great event of choice ushers in. Now the two foremost mentalities, known to be imaginary twins, are the better and the bad, in thoughts, words, and deeds. Of these, the beneficent choose correctly, but not the maleficent. Now, when the two mentalities first got together, they created life and not living until the end of existence. The worst mind shall be for the wrongful, and the best mind shall be for the righteous. And may we be among those who make this life fresh, you lords of wisdom, who bring happiness through righteousness. Come, let us be single-minded in the realm of intellect. This is religion as its simplest. It reminds me of the quote attributed to Abraham Lincoln in Herndon's biography. He has Lincoln saying, "When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. And that's my religion." With all the religious permutations that we have encountered in our life, is that not what the struggle is all about for each of us? What thoughts and actions will be beneficial to us and for the rest of the world? Zoroaster looked up to the heavens and saw the spirit of good and evil, Ahura and Ora. Ahura Mazda, the spirit of good; Ora Manu, the spirit of evil. Ahura, Ora are the roots of our modern world, aura. It's that sense of spirit, that sense of some incorporeal thing, not necessarily a solid God. And so there are interpretations in modern day Zoroastrian which are more philosophical and other ones that are more theistic. So all of us want to have good minds and act according to the spirit of wisdom, hoping that someday wisdom will win. And many days, especially in recent years, I have been in doubt of that. but I want to believe it, so I believe it, so I have a reason to try to choose the good. Whether one sees that as an intervention from a Messiah, Mahdi, or Mazda, may wisdom prevail all the days of our lives. After the service, there will be coffee hour, and we will have moral choices. The coffee is fair trade coffee. Hopefully that helps the grower. But there will also be cake. Not only should we ask, is the cake good for us? Was the cake good for those who made it? Was the cake mix made in a factory where the workers were well paid? On the other hand, the eating of meat is not the best use of our natural resources, using way too much water, which is becoming especially scarce in California. So is it better to eat cake than meat? And I don't know if this cake that we will eat is vegetarian or vegan. And if that offends you, if it's not, will the feelings of the baker be hurt if you reject their cake? This is not easy. Religion, Zoroastrian, like all religion, is easier said than done. Choose the good, avoid evil. Sounds simple. But we know so much of our lives is more complex than that. But it's important that each moment of our day, we are mindful that we are making a choice. Even when we don't think we're making a choice, our inaction has consequences. So to the best of our ability, may we choose wisely. May we bless and be blessed.